Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John, and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello everybody.
Watcher.
It's too warm.
It's quite hot.
Yeah. It's not getting out for a week and a half, but it's cold by then.
It's just gone summer all of a sudden, yeah.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
Lots of stuff. I had a really weird couple of weeks where I've just not really been able to do my normal routine, and that's making me all irritable.
Yeah.
Because, OCD and stuff. And I've been out and doing things and bank holidays and going hiking all of a sudden, and then suddenly going here and there and not being able to do this and that. And my static group weeks are all over the place at the moment, frankly. It's just chaos. I don't like it.
You consider giving up gaming?
No, I've considered giving up everything else though. That might recenter my equilibrium a bit better. Try and. I do need routine. I think I get sort of quite irritable, and I'm in a funny mood.
You are in a funny mood.
Yeah.
I didn't record that bit.
No. It's all right. I'm fine. It's okay.
Everything's fine. Everyone loves making podcasts.
It's all right. So let's talk about happy game.
Should we start with Shadespire?
Yes, Shadespire.
We played some Shadespire.
The bank holiday last weekend, so which threw me out. What do I normally do on a Monday? Because I didn't do that.
Go to work.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Secret World Legends. Yeah, I haven't done that for about 4 weeks for some related series of reasons. But,
hiking around Cornwall being one of them.
Yeah. But bank holiday, yes. And I came around here and we played some board game type thing.
We played Shadespire, which is a Games Workshop little squad-based board gamey thing with miniatures. Of course, it's Games Workshop, which is designed to be relatively cheap to get into and has, at this point, a very small set of things you need to have. And so it's quite interesting. Yeah,
I like that. I think there was some blurb about it being a city of like dark mirror magic or something, blah, blah, blah. Basically, there's small teams of warriors from all sorts of the traditional Warhammer fantasy setting factions and armies.
We don't say Warhammer Fantasy anymore.
Is it? Whatever.
Age of Sigmar.
Is it Age of Sigmar? Yeah. Okay.
They destroyed that world, which is why all the computer games that are coming out for it are set in it.
Okie dokie. Well, for whatever reason, there's very small squads of warrior types.
I had 3 people
attacking. Yeah, 3 people. I had 5, and they're basically trying to attack each other across a pair of game boards, hexagons type things with different objectives on and so on.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I quite liked it. It had that sort of cut down feel, because I quite liked Man of War and what was that? Oh, I can't even remember what it's called now. The Spartan Games one, Uncharted Seas, something like that. The one where you only have a very small number of units, and you have to be clever and careful and play within a very restricted sort of game space.
I'm not too keen on the small number of units in just a normal tactical game, because I find that there's not enough room for
doesn't
maneuvering.
Give you the options, yeah.
And once you've made a mistake, you've made that mistake.
Yeah.
But this is a combination miniatures and card game.
Yes.
Where you've got deck building from it's not a random card selection, it's each pack has a set of cards. So basically there's the base game which has 2 warbands in it, and then each warband comes with a set of cards. Some are generic, some are, don't really see it from this distance.
There you go, tiny.
Yeah. One half painted,
you can't see that at all.
No.
But, yes.
So basically I ended up buying them all because I'm that kind of person. But you don't need to. It's just if you want some of the cards, you might have to buy ones that you don't want, which is better than the X-Wing way, I find. Because the X-Wing way is you tend to end up buying expansions many times for cards that you need.
It had that feel of X-Wing though, although didn't have the, because I don't like the X-Wing miniatures game. I'm probably one of the few people who doesn't, mostly because I just don't like the predictive aspect of it, in that you have to keep guessing where everything's going to be 8 moves down the line in order to issue your own hidden orders to your own ships, and I keep crashing and going off the table and been pointing in the wrong place. It reminds me of the worst aspects of Robo Rally. You remember that? Yeah. So
I like Robo Rally,
but I like the small scale sort of skirmish aspect of X-Wing miniatures, and this seems to capture that too, which is good.
This also has the advantage of being very quick.
Yeah. Well, fairly quick.
Yeah.
We had a couple of hours for 2 goes. So.
Yeah, but we were learning the rules. People die very quickly.
Yeah.
Like some of these guys were dying in 1 hit, others in 2, and that's about.
Yes.
The tough guys take 2 hits.
They'll die in 1 successful attack or 2 if they're particularly tough. So it's quite a fast-paced sort of thing, and there's only three turns, isn't there?
Yeah, it's 3 turns. Alternate activations.
Yeah. And you've got various objectives cards which vary, like have all your people in the other half of the board at the end of the game, or
kill the boss.
or control point number 2. There's 6 different objectives on the board, and you keep scoring points each time you get one of those, and then you can draw fresh objectives and keep trying to score more and more objectives throughout the game. That's quite good. Then you spend the points you've earned from getting the objectives, you can use those to upgrade your troops as well, which is interesting. And then the points you've spent upgrading your troops also still count towards victory at the end of the game, which is nice.
The more victory points you get, the more you can upgrade your people, but it doesn't affect how much you've won by.
Yeah,
you're not setting yourself back by upgrading. You've just, it's a roll on, you've done well, therefore have a bit more.
Yeah, and then the power cards are interesting. That's the sort of main deck building aspect of it. You keep drawing new ones of those. They have different effects, improve particular troops, or do this, that, and the other thing.
The world's most ineffective heal.
Yeah, or ones where you can just swap two troops who are next to each other, like chaos and confusion and so on. So you had these little Age of Sigmar, Warrior, Hammer people.
Those are press fit models as well. Don't need glue.
No glue.
So those are easy to build press fit models, and yes, they really are.
So you had 3 of those, and they're specialising in defence, so quite good at shields and
big hammers and shields,
taking damage and stuff. And then I had a bunch of these, which are not painted, but these are sort of warriors of Khorne of some sort. They're basically like no armour berserker types, and I had 5 of these versus 3 of your ones of those. These are sort of one-hit wonders, a bit glass cannon-y, and generally move quite fast, so sort of berserk versus tanks. And I won one and you won one, didn't we? So it seemed relatively balanced, so that was interesting.
Oh, and there's the ability to upgrade your people to was it Brightened? Whatever the term was.
Inspired.
Yeah, inspired, that's the one.
Their stat cards have 2 sides.
So your guys go inspired if other people get killed.
No, if there's only 2 of them left, they get superpowered.
And mine get superpowered if they roll a certain thing while being hit.
Yeah, if they defend really well, and then their stats slightly improve and so on. It's interesting. I mean, it seemed to cut away a lot of the sort of cruft that really bogs a massive game of 40k or Age of Sigmar or Fantasy Battle or whatever they call it now.
It's designed so that you can get the games out in a tournament setting, no problem.
It had that feel. It had that feel of an MMO battleground rather than a massive zone-wide war type thing, where you have a relatively even number of people on each side. There's particular objectives. It's in a set and small, self-contained battlefield. Which lends itself to much more, more consideration and planning, because it's like chess, the ultimate expression of that is chess. The known board, the known pieces, you can plan, you can encapsulate it and think about it all as you go, whereas just a massive 6-foot long table with 300 models on it, and you're rolling 60 dice every time you do anything, that all gets a bit out of control and a bit difficult to keep your head around, I suppose, without much more practice, I suppose. So is this marketed as a sort of beginner game?
No,
it's an introductory thing, or is it a serious thing in its own right?
It's marketed as a serious thing for tournaments and things. Okay. Competitive play.
It sort of had an initial feel of this is just to get people used to the idea of dice combat with miniatures, but
with the deck building, that soon becomes quite complicated.
Yeah. There's sort of depths to it, I think. But I like the quick turnaround of it as well. Yeah, because it's all very well collecting a massive army of soldiers for a large scale skirmish game, but one of those matches will take like 4, 5, 6 hours generally, even with the new sort of streamlined 8th edition rules or whatever. Yeah, but you wouldn't get nearly as many goes to that as you with this thing.
You're meant to play 3 games, and it's 2 out of 3.
Okay. We did 1 of each and then went to the pub.
Yeah. So we were both winners.
Yes, everyone wins. Hooray. And so you got your other armies available. There's some dwarf guys.
There's those 2 which come in at the start. There's also another Stormcast and another Khorne one.
Okay.
Because
just varying up the troops a bit.
There's a range Stormcast and a Khorne one with a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's skeletons.
Oh yeah, the old undead,
which have lots of bringing people back powers. There's dwarf berserkers types, not wearing much, big axes,
the big red hair.
Yeah. Skaven.
The rat people
and large orcs.
Okay. So yeah,
and each of those is less than 20 quid for a pack. So you get some decent models and the cards, and they've actually just released them in packs with just the models. They're very good quality models.
Yeah. Sort of culmination of years of improved design and process.
Well, they're all coloured as well. You don't have to paint them. They all will just be the right colour on the board.
Yeah.
So they've got the red guys and the storm guys.
You can just get right into it because you don't even glue them. You snap them together and off you go.
Together. They're fantastic for snap fit models. I don't think anyone else is close to that level for snap fit models for the tabletop.
Yeah, it sort of made me, I don't know, I sort of getting Blood Bowl for some reason as well a bit. I mean, the nature of the way it plays out, which essentially is a very small board and you're basically running at each other down the board. There's no ball as such or any sort of weird tactical ball play, as it were. There is literally just objectives on the board. And I don't know, we realised that we were playing through and it dawned on us that there were no tabling rules. If you kill all of your enemy, you still carry on playing.
Yeah, because you might still get all of the other objectives.
Yeah, you might still manage to score some objectives even if all your people are dead. But they specifically designed it seems, so that you don't just go in and try and kill the enemy. You still have to pay attention to the objectives, because just killing all the enemy doesn't necessarily mean you win. I mean, it depends how quickly you do it, because you're essentially leaving your enemy team unopposed to get on with their objectives. But,
or like in one of the games where
if it's a near thing in the last round,
in the game where I lost, there was one objective which would have scored me lots of points if you had made one particular decision
if I didn't
and gone to your side of the board.
Yeah.
Or if I'd had the other way round, if I'd had the opposite version of that card, I would have got 3 victory points.
Most of those objective cards appear in all the decks, so everyone's objective deck will contain hold objective number 4 or so on. So it's when they come up, but then some of the objectives are specific to each side as well.
Yeah. I'm not that impressed with the hold objective numbers.
Yeah.
I think they may be a little bit too inflexible. You might have to do too much running. So at least for the Stormcast guys, I think they're pretty much a waste of time.
Well, I did wonder, because I think the red people I had, they all move much faster to begin with. But then they're not as defendy. They're quite easy to kill. So swings and roundabouts. I mean, that looks like they have tried to sort of differentiate each little squad with their own sort of racial flavour and stats.
When I come to rebuild the Stormcast deck, I'm going to make it a bit more proactive.
It does have that deck building capacity then?
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely does. It's got 300 and something cards.
Oh, right, okay. Because we were playing with just the straight starter stuff. But presumably you have a minimum number of cards you should have in your deck.
Yeah.
Like Magic or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
effectively,
you can decide
so many
which
objectives,
ones come
so many other ones.
Yeah.
And you just rattle through them. You don't recycle the deck when it runs out.
No, when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. You don't lose when you run out of deck, and you don't reshuffle everything back in. So you need a deck which is relatively large to keep going and getting cards.
Yeah.
But I could see decks which don't have many actually working for the right tactics.
Yeah. You choose when you play your cards. You're not automatically playing every round. Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing. I quite liked it.
The next expansion they've announced is a card-only expansion.
Okay,
just
bulk that side of it.
And they've just released model-only versions of the packs, so you just buy the models without the cards.
Okay, that seems quite flexible.
Yeah, and they've also given them rules in Age of Sigmar.
But it seems to me, unless you want to collect lots and lots of different teams for the variety of it all, once you've got your 3 Stormcasts or your 5 Khorne Berserker people, you're done, really, aren't you?
Yeah, you could quite happily be done, but you might find yourself not doing that well against decks which have a larger range of cards to choose from.
Yeah, I suppose. But it's just nice to see it not needing to spend like sort of 250 quid to get a decent army together to play a board game. Essentially, it's a much more modest scaled thing, but with much more focus. You can really concentrate on the specifics and drill right down into how it's all working, the movement and the cards and so on, rather than just roll 300 dice and shove a whole load of orcs across a table.
And if you were playing with your mates, I wouldn't say this in public or ever where it's been recorded, but you could always just print out the cards, put them in deck protectors, and have the cards you want.
I suppose, yeah. But
of course, I would never say that in public.
I'm not sure I'm gonna start collecting my own team necessarily, but I'll be happy to play that again.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I like it is the models are fantastic, and I want to paint them all.
Yes.
They know that market very well.
That's a manageable painting job as well, 5 figures.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh God, I've got like 2,000 points worth of orcs to mass production line, conveyor belt going past, let's do the faces one at a time, Whereas these you could really concentrate on the detail because you've only got 3 figures, and they are very well detailed actually.
They are. And they got pre-moulded bases, so you don't have to do anything on the basing beyond paint it.
Yeah.
You can add a bit of static grass or turf or whatever.
It's a manageable painting task, which is nice,
And because they have the inspired versions, if you have 2 sets of the models, you can paint the models as inspired.
They recommend that in the book, don't they? In the rule book. You should get 2 sets of models. Yeah, because they sort of go into superpower mode.
I'm actually thinking of getting 2 sets of models. I'm thinking about getting another set of all the models so that I've actually got enough cards to do, because I want to have the 2 decks. then I'm going to need all the cards for 2 decks. So I might just get another set because there's only 6 packs I need to buy or whatever, so why not?
It does seem like a fairly well-balanced game in and of itself as well, rather than just an excuse to sell a whole load more models we've come up with.
Yeah, they've actually worked on gameplay this time.
Yes,
because
a lot of their spin-off sort of games are quite sort of patchy.
Well, we had that period between 7th and 8th towards the end where lots and lots of games got released, and quite a lot of them
reusing the models a lot of the time. And
quite a lot of them did feel like they were just experimenting with new rules to see what would happen.
What was that awful thing we were playing with the jungle and the Tyroids?
Thingy.
Some Scout Patrol, Lost Patrol.
Whatever. It was, a game which is broken by design.
Yeah, I don't think we could. We were trying to work out how to win as humans, and we didn't think it was possible.
It is, but
you need a really
dealer player has to be useless.
yeah. So, and what was that Dreadfleet? Remember that?
Yeah, Dreadfleet.
Ships. Is that still a thing?
No,
it was a one-off thing.
No, it was a limited release.
Yeah.
Same with
they do sort of scattergun a bit.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They keep releasing these games like that. I think need to stay on the shelves or stay available because they've released Space Hulk about 7 times now. They keep finding new stock.
Perennial favourite, I suppose. Yeah. That's got a bit of cult appeal to it, that one particularly.
And if they just had that, kept it, and were selling it constantly, I reckon it would constantly sell because it's a good game.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so many sort of hit and miss sort of mini boxes they do for all sorts of other types of rules and so on. It's nice to see one that's been well thought out.
The other problem they have is in the shops, which is shelf space. Shadespire is not available in the shop. It's only online or in third-party stores because they just don't have the shelf space to put it in. And I think that's a massive mistake because I think it's a brilliant gateway game to get people into the universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're saying it's not really designed as just an introduction to Age of Sigmar.
No, but it works.
It is its own thing. But you get the basic fundamental concepts of tabletop miniature war skirmish play.
You look at a Skaven and you think, isn't that cute? And you think,
adorable.
I could just play this and lovely Skaven doing Skaven-y ploys.
Yes. So more armies. Where would you go with this? This is the thing, isn't it? It seemed part of the appeal of it for me is it is a self-contained thing. You could do lots of different new models. I suppose,
that's it. But all you need to do to go more is more boards to play on.
Yeah.
Cars, the 2 of them which have got nothing on, but then stuff starts having impossible terrain on it.
Yeah, there's 2 board tiles that come with it, and each of them is double-sided. And on the opposite side of the basic ones are somewhere you've got different hexagons blocked out as obstructions.
Yeah. And you place them, and they don't have to be like that. They can be like that or whatever. And, which is interesting to make it.
Your half, my half.
Give a bit of a choke point.
Yeah.
So more of those, and there's plenty more armies. I mean, there's other types of dwarves. There's the.
Is there an elf army?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's no elf army, not an elf in this, but there's more than a couple of elf armies. You could have the new watery elves, the sea elves.
Could you make your own team out of your existing miniatures and come up with your own cards, or is that kind of homebrew problematic? Because you'd need
everyone
the
would have to have buy-in for that.
Yeah.
And whenever anyone...
You can't just grab 3 Lego figures off a shelf and use those.
I've seen people putting together their own team and then using the existing cards. So having it as accounts as.
I see.
Because one of the Games Workshop people, there's the Nurgle releases had those really nice sassy Nurglings.
Yes.
There was the one that looked like the D&D guy with the sword, and and she just basically put those on the bases and
fair enough.
Yeah, has a force of those.
Yeah.
I could easily see another 20 odd different releases
I think
just on the armies.
They might be in danger of ruining it though if you go crazy on expansions and must have extra bits and all the rest of it. It seems like a good self-contained thing.
It depends how well it's been designed. If it's got power creep on the cards, then that'll be a problem. But if not, it may not be.
That's often the thing, if there isn't power creep, then what's in it for me? Why should I buy the expansion? And if there is power creep, then everyone else needs the expansion. People get cross.
Yeah.
It's always a dilemma with any game, I suppose, with incremental content.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that X-Wing really suffered from.
Yeah. They just keep bringing in even more ridiculous ships. Did the TIE Defender make it to
it was rubbish.
All the ones from the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter games turned up, did they?
I think Missile Boat did in the end, I think. But TIE Defender's canon now.
TIE Defender was an utter invention by LucasArts to try and give the TIE Fighter expansion of X-Wings the players, and they're something that they'll last 5 seconds in.
Yeah.
And they sort of overcompensated a bit. It was not a beast.
Yeah. In X-Wing, it was never that good. On the tabletop, it was just,
Yeah, fair enough.
Mind you, I never really got past the wide or anything more than loads and loads of TIE Fighters.
Zerg Rush.
Yeah.
So often
more dice wins.
Generally, yeah. Which is again another good thing with this with Shadespire there or whatever is that you can't just like pile hundreds of mini troops on there. You have your teams and off they go.
I quite like to see a 40k version.
Some
really nice,
futuristic,
really nice, interesting sculpts of various armies.
Yeah, because it does support ranged combat. There are troops in there who can throw hammers and things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh no, there's people with guns and things.
Yeah.
And of course, all of these models can be used in your Age of Sigmar armies if you want.
Yeah, models are models. At the end of the day.
They make quite good leaders because they're just different and interesting.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I really like it. I remain unconvinced that they won't screw it up in the long time because every single game like this gets screwed up in the long term.
I'd play that again. In fact, I think I'd prefer it to the large 40k stuffs, to be honest. Let's get a bit bogged down, really. That gets a bit hectic going.
We must play that again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've not tried the 8th edition rules or whatever yet.
No, you need to play
Apparently
with it.
Are streamlined. And
they're very streamlined.
Okay.
And also, I've nearly finished painting my Custodes. So.
Okay, yeah, you'll need
apart from the
you
one
need a punching bag
person
for them.
over there.
Okay, good.
Just for reference,
yeah,
the Custodian armies on that.
You can't see
table,
this, but there's quite a lot of figures down there.
There's a couple of bikes, 3 guys, a leader, and a dreadnought.
Yeah.
Dreadnought's mistake.
I do like the new bike look. They look a bit like you can't see this at all, but it's a very Judge Dredd looking thing.
Any similarity between anything in the 40k universe and Judge Dredd is purely coincidental.
Golden eagle on the front of the bonnet. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
And so you see those Tyranids over there?
Yes, terrifying.
The 20 Gene Stealers and everything.
They're getting closer.
That is the army that's going to be up against those small
people.
I
get to be the disposable aliens, do I? Fair enough. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you can play those.
I'm going to talk about a game, computer game.
Oh, go on,
before we lose our audience entirely.
10 years too late.
Games and things. See, that was
things.
a thing there. Things. We had a thing. So back to games then. I've been playing quite a lot of Stellaris.
That's that.
So Stellaris, there's a particular problem with Stellaris in that Stellaris is a very good game by Paradox Interactive, I think. I'm terrible at credits for games. So I don't really know who does what at all. But so they released Stellaris and it was all good and people liked it. It was sort of like the ultimate modern incarnation of Master of Orion, basically, a kind of real-time massive colonization empire management type space game. It absolutely ticks all my boxes for just going off on one in my imagination. But the problem is that they just haven't stopped releasing it since it came out. It must be getting on for about a year or 2 years in now.
Is it the Sims issue?
It's a bit of the Sims, yeah. They just won't stop doing DLC over and over and over again. So many of them. There was a new one this last week or the week before, Distant Stars, it's called. And with those, but they're relatively good. What they do one of those, but then they'll update the main game with a load of free updates and improvements and things as well. So, I mean, it's perfectly possible to spend about 200 quid getting all of the bits of Stellaris if you really want to. I mean, including, forum art and new alien avatars, and it's hard to tell which bits of it and how much of it are functionally important, which bits are fluff. There's quite a lot of both sorts available, to be honest. So I'm still on the base game because I've yet to finish a game of it. It's that sort of huge scope and scale to it all. It makes for really, really large games. Even with all the settings set, all the custom universe creation settings at the start set to minimum, you're still looking at 10, 20 hours or something. I don't know. I've never finished one. And I'm not sure how far the calendar goes up to as well. It's got
Have
years.
You never finished one because you get bored, or you never finished one because
I've never finished one because they keep changing the way the game plays. Every so often they'll do one of these big DLCs and then they'll update the main game. And of course, unless you really go out of your way to make Steam stop doing that kind of thing, it will just ruthlessly update everything every time you turn your PC on.
And your entire strategy is suddenly worthless.
No, it's not. No, not even that. The save games become incompatible because they've fundamentally changed how the game works. They've done this twice in a row. Now. I know.
Bad game company.
So when Stellaris started, you have your stars in a galaxy. It looks fantastic, the galaxy map, and it's all got the coloured bits and the symbols and the good futuristic-looking fonts everywhere, and it's lovely. And what they did is initially, when you create your empire, you have one of 3 types of interstellar technologies. You've got the normal sort of take time to go between any stars you like. It takes a while to spin up at each end and come out at the other end. You cool down on the other end. Then you got wormholes, which is you basically build a special wormhole installation, and then that catapults you to any arbitrary nearby system instantaneously. But you need to create wormhole portals which have to be defended. They are destroyable. And the third technology was
does that
star
work?
lanes, which is a sort of variation on the you can just go between any two stars. But that connected all the stars together into a kind of grid map, and into a kind of
the old classical.
the classic one. And I don't know what happened, but at some point during the recent development, somewhere around the 2.0 update, they decided that actually it's just totally. The first game I tried to play was I had the just go anywhere at any time technology, and it was an absolute nightmare to try and pin enemy fleets down, because like in real life, like it will be in the future, assuming we ever get to the stars, it's going to be utterly impossible to intercept interstellar spaceships.
Space is big.
Space is big, speeds are fast, time is long. So, the idea of you're going to be able to, I can see an incoming enemy fleet that's going to be here in like 3 months, I'll just nab them halfway between this. No, not at all. So you could only ever move between stars, and the odds of you getting your people to the star at the same time that the enemy fleet was there, so that you could have a proper ding-dong, it was quite slim. So you'd spend so long just chasing each other around, and it also meant that every single star in your empire was effectively on the border, because you could just launch from anywhere to anywhere. So it made controlling an empire in space, like it would be in real life, utterly impossible as well. So I don't know, at some point they decided, right, we'll get rid of the wormhole thing, we'll get rid of the you can go anywhere thing, and they redesigned it so that it was all star lanes now.
Okay.
Which basically meant that suddenly you've got whole sets of constellations, and the whole galaxy map becomes a lot more controllable. You can break it into particular blocks, and you can locate pinch points that are defensible and so on. Then, so I started a new go, none of my save games work now. All previous save games at that point became incompatible.
And no warning.
Well, yeah, if I'd have read the patch notes carefully, I could have undone the patch or something. I don't know, but it would have been a pain in the backside anyway.
Bad game company.
Well, yeah, I think part of it's Steam's fault. It really does go for the throat on updates. It's, ordinarily that's a very good thing. It's they do an exemplary service in keeping all your software up to date, but if you don't want it up to date for any reason at all, tough. And then this Distant Stars thing came out. I think they had a whole load of mega structures, like Dyson spheres and big ring worlds and all that sort of thing. That was one of the content updates back then. And then there was a Synthetic Dawn one where they did a whole load of Machine Empire stuff. Now they did this Distant Stars thing, and they've cranked the anomalies up. There's loads more types of anomalies now, which is basically where you send your science ships off to explore new stars and find interesting, cool stuff. And some of those are really narratively interesting. A lot of the story gets told through those. But they've also rejigged how starbases and stuff work. Your starbase isn't around your homeworld anymore. It's around the star itself. It's detached from your colonies, and you can only do the military ships at the starbases, and they now have to be conquered before you can take a star system, because basically they've taken about 5 or 6 or 7 goes to try and get war right and playable and interesting and working. So they rejiggered it all again recently, and that threw out my save game that I'd started the second time. So now I'm on my third proper serious go. Started again, and I'm desperately playing to try and get a game finished before they change it all again. This is the 2.1 Niven update. They named them after sci-fi authors.
Okay.
And now we got this whole star-based control thing, and now they changed how wars work as well. You don't have this war score thing anymore. Basically, so the war score thing, originally you declared war, and when you declared war, you set yourself up a couple of objectives, and then it measured how well you were doing against your own set objectives for that war, and whoever got nearest to what they said they were going to do tended to win. But it was very confusing and quite tricky to hold systems and try and work out what's going on, and at the end of the day, the whole problem Stellaris is trying to solve with wars is, why would you ever declare war anyway and set up yourself a series of rules and a series of objectives? That's not how it works in the real world. You just go for it. You surprise, if you can suddenly turn up with a whole load of fleet and claim about 15 systems before they go, oh god, we've got to build some spaceships.
Usually the person who declares war is either trying to make a point or dealing to having just had...
Declaring war is essentially a failed game of brinkmanship that went on beforehand, So at the present it was like, hello, good day, I would like to declare war on you. Here is my list of things I want to do. How does that seem to you? Interesting. I would like also to declare war back at you. Here's the list of things I want to do. How are those? Okay, jolly good. And you shake hands and then you have at it, Queensberry rules across the stars. it's all a bit weird. But so now what we've got is this war exhaustion thing, which essentially is a kind of timer, and the timer erodes over time, but also erodes quicker if you lose systems, if you lose military victories and so on. And basically, you get to a point where your empire is notionally just so sick of carrying on that they will just surrender rather than carry on fighting.
I know how they feel.
Yeah, and so that's interesting. And then that's all backed up with a series of system claims now. So you have to sort of book in advance which systems you want to keep when the war is over. It's like, I just don't understand combat in that game, which is usually why I try and avoid it.
Yeah.
So, I get quite far playing the happy clappy United Nations of Earth side to try and, just make friends with everyone. And that's a victory condition. If you can create a federation that has X% of all races as a member of it, then you all win together, which, I'm never going to see one of these victories because I'm not entirely even sure Stellaris is winnable. It may not even be a game in that sense. It might just be a toy or a simulation. I don't quite know yet.
Let's not go down that route again.
I know, yeah, that old chestnut. So now I've picked the grey uniforms, sinister red banners, Commonwealth of Man, who are generally quite xenophobic, and I've tried to have a proper go at beating anyone. So I've been building up, and I got lucky with the universe generation, the nearest rival empires,
nearest fodder.
The nearest other sentient beings are quite far away, so it gave me a good time to build up, and I like that part best, the initial building up the empire. And I'm in a reasonable position. You can sort all the known races in order of approximate power, and I'm about mid-table. That's good. And there's an empire of weird sentient toucan-like creatures that lives to the south of me, who are a bit argy-bargy. So and they seem to be roughly, I think they're slightly inferior on military power, and I think, right, okay, this is it. We're going to have a crack at them. And I was having a go at that, and I was setting myself up, building up more troops, trying to reach my fleet cap limit, so that I've got all the maximum potential available. And I was in a good position to have a go. And then this other nation next door to them decides they want to declare war on the toucan people as well. These weird feathered dinosaur people. And the feathered dinosaur people contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm going to have a war with these guys. Do you want to help?" And I thought, fodder. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll be right behind you. Yeah, you make a start. And then I looked down, and so I think, yeah, good. Okay, we've got some cannon fodder to go in and soak up the initial hits. Didn't really work like that. It turns out that my feathered dinosaur allies are about a third of the power of me, and it looks like I'm having to do all the heavy lifting. But because the feathered dinosaur people understand the rules about claiming systems and booking a reservation before you start a war, even if I win, all of these systems will go to the feathered dinosaur people, even though I've liberated them because they had the prior claim. It's a weird old system. I just despair of understanding how Stellaris works.
That you hurry up and deal with this current threat.
The angry toucan people.
And then just take out the dinosaurs on the way
The feathered dinosaur people will be next. But but the problem is that in any situation like that, it's the classic dynamic, and I don't know if Stellaris is any different or whether they're desperately trying to avoid this, what happens. But in, say, Master of Orion or any of these old previous games, three empires of approximately similar size, developing up together, they come together, there's a big old fight.
Yeah.
One of them will attack the other, it will destroy the other, lose about half of its power in the process. The person who didn't go in for the fight first can then just clump. Yeah. So, the smartest move is to be the last person to join in on a war and just pile in on the weak people.
Why didn't you say no? Why did you find yourself get dragged into a needless war, risking so many of your people's lives?
I know. I should probably wait until they kill each other and then jump in on the... Yeah, so I did keep a useful save game just before that all kicked off, so I might revert and try again, yeah. Because I am playing, essentially the Empire from Star Wars, and I'm trying to hate everyone, but it's not really in my nature, and so I'm having to struggle against my own niceness as well.
You should not go into war alongside the dinosaur bird people.
Yeah.
But you should attack their enemy and go into war against them anyway. So it's the two of you fighting that guy on two fronts. And then on the way back, you take out him because you're more powerful than him.
That's interesting. You're very good at this.
I am, yeah.
Frighteningly so. But I'm still really loving Stellaris in general. I mean, it's just a fantastic, grand canvas of space opera and, empire management and so on. It's just somewhat frustrating that many of the more elaborate rules to do with warfare and claiming and stuff are really quite obscure. I mean, they've got a wiki. I mean, most of the in-game help just links to an actual wiki website.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, and they are not afraid to keep changing the rules about all the time as well, which is why I want to try and get a game, moderately finished. I mean, again, I'm not even sure if finish is a word that means anything in the context of a game of Stellaris, but I want to try and get some way in before they change the rules again, you know. But
have you considered turning off auto updates for that game?
Yeah. Perhaps I want to do that. I have to wait until they. Yeah, well, I'll leave auto updates on because obviously there's there's about 5 or 6 fixes to the main.
No, you
to the
turn
recent
off
thing.
auto updates and just opt in for each update after reading the patch. You just have to treat this one as a manual update.
Yeah, maybe that's the way because it will just invalidate all your save games. They won't load after you've patched
Bad
it. Which
game
is,
company.
well, yeah. I don't know how you'd get around
this.
that. Maintain multiple rule sets as part
Have
of
an upgrade for the thingy or. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah. But no, it's really, really enthralling. Really, just one more turn sort of thing. But yeah, I really need to. It's so deep. It's a lot deeper than like Master of Orion stuff. But just because of the complexity and the intricacies of the sort of various systems built into it all. And it takes a bit of getting used to it. And also, it's not something where you get to play lots and lots of games over and over and over because each game is so vast. So you don't build the familiarity with the rule set, say, that playing hundreds of games of, I don't know, just small games of Master of Orion or something would do. So, I'm quite tempted with a lot of the DLC, actually. I'm wondering if it's too late to wait for a Game of the Year edition now. I don't think they really think in those terms. But again, part of me thinks, well, I just haven't really got the most out of the base game yet because that keeps changing. I haven't really finished one. So, it's sort of frustrating, but really captivating as well. I'm really quite enjoying that, playing a lot of it. So over to you.
I'm going to talk about a game called Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr.
Oh, this is another 40k game?
Another 40k game.
Wow, you're on a roll.
I've played a couple of these recently because I'm just playing. This one actually launched into early access this week.
Okay.
Imagine Diablo 3 running around a 40k world.
Oh, no.
See?
Yeah, that does sound quite interesting. I could go for that.
You are a lone Inquisitor who has taken a rogue trader off on a thing to investigate a thing, which is a ship called the Martyr.
Okay.
Which is an old Inquisitor ship from a long time ago, which has been lost in the warp.
Oh, now it's turned up.
And now it's turned up. So you fly over there.
And you're going to fly over there, have a look around. No, it's all fine. There is no heresy here.
You go over there. Little bit of chaos. Then the ship disappears back into the warp because why not?
Okay.
And then you end up flying around to different places in the galaxy on a galaxy map, choosing what missions to do, and basically then you've got some planet missions, some space station missions, some spaceship missions, and you're running around killing stuff as your Inquisitor, who is basically one guy in power armor, not a space marine but an Inquisitor, either as a close combat guy, as a ranged guy, or a psychic guy.
Okay.
And
is it just the one character? Because often the Diablo games you get to choose from multiple different sorts of classes. And
you got the 3 classes to start with, but I don't know. You can equip all of the equipment later on, so you can become a close combat guy, even if you're a ranged guy.
Oh, right.
I don't know how much it's going to hurt with your initial stats, but we'll see. Basically some missions. There's a lot of horde stuff in you, lots of nurglings, and I find having a big power axe is a lot better than that. But usually I'm just rocking to...
So lots of variety, visiting lots of people. Do you get to visit Eldars and orcs and stuff?
All
or is it all just
Imperial
chaos?
that I've seen so far into the game that I've played.
Okay.
It's all Imperial bases and space stations and planets, and it is all chaos.
I'm guessing there's some sort of procedurality to the map design, is it? Or are they seem like the same thing every time?
I believe there is a certain amount of procedurality. There's campaign missions.
That sounds a lot like Diablo.
Yeah, there's campaign missions and more random missions.
Yeah.
Which I believe are the randomly ones.
Okay.
And then you've got, of course, you're getting more and more gear that you can pick up and equip. It has different colours for some reason. I don't know why.
The ISO loot colour coding standard. Yeah.
So basically, you're just building up more and more. You'll find a new gun and think, I want that gun. I will use that gun. That's a good gun.
Yeah.
Or I think, I've got this brilliant new armour, but it's only close combat armour, or it doesn't have the ability to drop the turret. Instead, it's got the ability to do something else.
Okay, so a bit of theory crafting, a bit of loot building there. Yeah.
And trying to keep in your playstyle. And it's quite interesting and it's quite good. It's in early access, which is a bit of a downside. But it seems...
Does it seem like it'll get there?
Yeah, it seems like it's in a position where they're starting at a good point, which is quite playable and quite fun. And I've sunk a few hours into it now, and I've really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, so I want to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. On the other hand, I also played Warhammer 40k Adeptus Titanicus, which is another early access game about Titans fighting. And it is absolute tosh.
Right.
Basically, think MechWarrior.
Yeah.
But nowhere near as good as the recent MechWarrior game.
Okay.
And also...
is it turn-based like MechWarrior?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the moment it's only in small maps where you're basically fighting over objectives and there's no close combat because I haven't put it in yet. And
sometimes a 40k license doesn't really help.
No, it launched far too early,
yeah.
basically.
Well, early access, isn't it? Yeah, there you go.
So play Inquisitor, don't play Adeptus Mechanicus.
Right.
Play the board game version of Adeptus Mechanicus when it releases later in this year.
Cool. Yeah, well, so various, it's all a bit staggered and shattered with the static group stuffs over the last month or so. I mean, things are going to calm down for me in June because I've got nothing on.
We'll see about that.
I've not really booked anything for June or July. Yeah, so hopefully we're getting back into the swing of the static group stuff. But, so no updates on Secret World Legends. Factorio on the Tuesdays, that's still going well. It's just getting well out of hand now.
That's the description of every game of Factorio.
Well, the problem with Factorio is that I suppose what exists as the game, the point, the objective is to finish the tech tree, is to launch a rocket into space, satellite, whatever. And to work your way out that tech tree, you need more and more science packs, which are the little different coloured bottles, and each of those different coloured bottles needs different combinations of different sub-combined materials. And anyway, that gets more and more elaborate, but also the quantity of bottles increases greatly as well.
It's a game about scaling.
It absolutely is a game about scaling. And also, all the time so you could look at a bottle of white science, for example. You could look at a piece of technology on the tech tree, and it has a number of bottles of each colour, and you can basically break that down into numbers of units of ore and copper and oil that needed to make those things.
And time.
Yeah, and time. So... and those numbers get vaster and vaster. And eventually, you're dealing with entire mineral beds of iron ore just to put together one piece of technology.
Yeah.
And so you're building the vast factory that plumbs it all through and produces it, turns the bottles out, feeds them into the labs, and that's all great. But then that all has an input of iron ore at the far end, as you're ticking along, thinking, this is going well, and you think, hang on, that iron ore bed's run out now, because they are finite resources. So you have to keep looking further and further away from the start point to find more and more minerals.
Which slows you down. Your factory's there, and you need to get all the stuff over there. So you got to have trains putting it.
You've got to start using trains because the distances become really large. Yeah, the cargo trains, and then you find that what we found is it's actually more efficient to build miniature factories on site on the minerals to turn them into whatever, and then ferry those secondary or tertiary materials back to the main base on the trains. So you need quite a complicated train network with various different offloading terminals feeding into different belts. We have this massive bus system of just like about 30 or 40 conveyor belts all moving along in parallel, each with different materials on, and then you sort of split bits off to go to different factory sections, and it's just getting really out of hand. And now we've decided that we're going nuclear. So we found some uranium, and I think the plan now is to build a whole bunch of nuclear power plants.
That's not going to go bad.
Partly just because, nuclear, and so to do that, we've ended up sort of walling off an enormous section of landscape and tried to clear out the inside of the perimeter with tank runs and stuff. Votes for Cake is an expert tank driver, and I've been on the gun turret. I'm not an expert gunner, so yes,
far from it.
That's led to a bit of chaos and mayhem for a couple of hours last Tuesday. But we've now cleared out this enormous paddock that we're going to turn over to a vast amount of nuclear reprocessing and all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't even know how close we are to doing the big job. We're on to the stuff that needs 6 different bottles now, including the white one, and I think we're probably going to need to send stuff into space because I think the white science only comes from satellite observations or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's and to finish the entire tech tree, we're going to have to do all that stuff as well. It's just I really am starting to lose it, to be honest. I'll log in on a Tuesday, take a look at the map, and go.
I need to make a change, and I can't hold it all in my head.
I have this iron plate. I want to turn it into a battery. Could someone help? Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm glad Candle's got a sort of overall plan in his head because I have no idea what's going on. I have to sort of manually follow belts back through factories and work out what's going where. And so
it is almost impossible in that game to build stuff far enough apart.
It's space is the problem because you're essentially building a massive printed circuit board in a way. So it's going well and we're doing well. We've got artillery now. That's brilliant.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you've got your little gun turrets that defend your walls and stuff, and laser turrets and flamethrower turrets. Artillery can shoot like hundreds of blocks away. If you and use a lure to actually pinpoint. The trouble is the shells are quite manufacturing intensive as well, so you need a whole different set of factories producing those and delivering them to the cluster of artillery points. And you can put the artillery on a train car as well.
That's the best idea.
Well, that's good because you can move the train around your base to where it's needed, and then that extends its range even further. And there's loads more range extensions we can research. And the trouble is the biters get more powerful as well. So you start off and there's a few don't like the pollution coming, get immediately killed by your grade 1 gun turret or even your pistol you start with. But they change colour as they go up. Now we're onto, I think those sort of start with red ones, and then there's some blue ones. I think we're onto green ones now, which are physically robust enough to stop a tank running it over. They're actually like scenery when you hit them, and take quite a lot of killing with the right kinds of gear. So yeah, they're adapting, they're getting bigger. It's like a sort of half-assed game of StarCraft going on at the same time as all this Minecraft, mods, conveyor belt nonsense. So it's quite exciting in a way, but also quite exhausting trying to figure out what's going on and trying to follow it all and sort of keep adding useful things to the base. And there's no end of make busy jobs to do on these bases, because all these belts and splitters and little grabby arms, they come in various different grades of efficiency, so you got to go around upgrading those, which I like doing, ensuring the belts, you swap the yellow belts for the red ones and they go faster. Which just helps consume everything quicker, which means you need faster input of raw materials. It's just everything you do means that something else now needs doing in that game. And
have you considered not doing anything?
Well, no, it's good to be busy. It's good to be helping. I like to help, and there's lots of opportunities for that. So I have no idea on a kind of time frame for us to finish the science, but we're going to have to. It starts to ramp up in orders of magnitude larger. You end up with like blueprints, so you can use a tool to select a bunch of stuff you've built, and that then comes off as a blueprint, which you can keep in a book and with a load of other blueprints, and then you can go somewhere else on the map and just stamp that blueprint on the scenery, and it creates sort of transparent versions of everything.
That's nice.
Then your helpful, friendly flying robots will try and, if it's in range of their roboport areas, they will go off to stores and try and place those things on the ground.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you start to automate the business of actually placing, which means you then need to start devising modular sub-factory sets. So like this sort of 20 by 20 area has one belt coming in and one belt coming out, and it will just turn stuff into other stuff, and you go dump, multiply those out and make sure it's all fed in, and then out comes the stuff you need. So you start dealing on a whole new level, essentially. Instead of just placing individual conveyor belts and factories like you do at the start, you're placing entire districts down and wiring them together. And it just, it's bonkers. It really gets out of hand. So we got hundreds of robots swarming around the place, carrying their little bits and pieces. And it doesn't help when certain members of the team decide to pave the entire world. They place build orders for paving and concrete slabs everywhere, and the robots all go, oh, I'll do that, and then they go mad, and you can't get any robot help for like 25 minutes as they try and drop bricks everywhere. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. It's fine. It's totally fine. So yeah, that's Factorio, still doing well there. Wednesday nothing. Thursday's the sort of Warframe now. I'm still dabbling with Warframe. Coming along well with there. They've got the Cora update, which is a kind of horde mode simulation thing you can do, sanctuary thing. I don't know where I'm going next with that. I got Octavia in the end. It was really disappointing and not terribly useful, like I thought it might be. Yeah, it always is, isn't it? It's very clever, but totally impractical. So we're still sort of ticking along on there. I'd just like to issue some personal congratulations to Blacklight for finishing his Mastery Rank 8 test. He's been attempting that for quite a while, and he got there in the end. Apparently Controller was the key. It was a jumpy puzzle that he wasn't very good at, but once he tried it with a controller, he nailed it on the second go. So mouse and keyboard not always the right way. And then Fridays is Pathfinder. That's all going well, but I don't want to talk about that. And then Lotro on the Saturdays. Oh, Lotro. Yeah, we finished Mirkwood.
Huzzah!
Sort of. One stage of the epilogue we couldn't do because it was a 6-man dungeon. And there's only 3 of us. We did try. We tried to underman it, but we hit the first boss and it basically got to a rage timer and killed us because we don't DPS hard enough. So we're going to come back in about 40 levels and curb stomp the bugger. So we're moving on to the Evendim Isengard, Enedrath Isengard stuff, the Grey Company. We're now on a very long make busy set of quests where we have to go to every ranger in the old world and say, hello, you're needed down south by Aragon. And each of them has a fetch quest they want us to do before they can go.
Bad game developers.
Yeah, and then but quite soon we might be going to somewhere new, Enodrath, which will be nice. It's not new to me; I've seen that one before. But level 70 now, we're going to hit the Isengard expansion already, 5 levels over over the starting recommended level for that. So that's good. Because we just scoured everything in Mirkwood. I'm so glad to be out of Mirkwood. It was just grey, fog, tree, spider, grey, and it's just nice to. I don't mind the now go to every zone in the old world and visit every ranger NPC you've ever talked to, because at least we can see some grass and trees now that are green and with a blue sky. So that's nice. So yeah, I don't know how long we've been going at that, but we've been making some decent time, I think.
That's only a couple of months, isn't it?
Yeah, only a couple of months, and we're already through Mirkwood, Moria, and the original launch content. So on to Isengard, then Rohan, and then Gondor, and then Helm's Deep, and then Gondor, and then Mordor, and then Lake Town and stuff. They're still adding stuff. So that's the problem. They're laying new content down at about the same kind of rate I'm consuming it at the moment. So
wow,
we need to catch up.
Unlikely.
Yes, that's all still going. And then Neverwinter Nights on the Sundays kind of fallen apart at the moment. I think we might try and get it going again tonight. But yeah, just so many absences and people not around. So I don't really have much to say about that. So that's the static groups. Yeah. Over to you.
I'm going to talk about a game called Quarantine Circular.
Okay, is that like Subspace Circular?
Subcircular.
What? Yeah.
Subcircular, circular, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, it's by Bithell Games. Mm-hmm. It's another Bithell short.
Yeah.
So it's a cheapish game, which it took me an hour and a half to play it.
Okay.
This time, it is all set on a boat. 2 locations. One standing out on a helipad.
Yeah.
And the other in a conference room.
Okay.
And what has happened is a plague has hit the earth and everyone is dying, and all of the nations have put together all of their navies together to make a fleet to try and deal with it, and then an alien is found in one of the cities.
Oh, right.
And it starts off, you're the tech setting up the auto translation for the alien, and then it goes on talking to the alien and seeing where it goes, why is he there, what's going on, and all of that. And again, it's all down to conversations.
Yes.
So it's all just basically a text chat window.
Yeah.
With a couple of things about it. And it's another perfect example of let's make a game with hardly anything. Everyone wears a helmet so you don't see the face, so they don't need to be animated apart from the alien.
Yeah.
Very few locations, only a couple of people involved. It's a brilliant example of how to do more with less, and it all hinges.
It sounds very tight, yeah.
It all hinges off the story, and I won't say too much about what the story is because that's all there is to the game.
Yeah.
All I will say is the ending was a little bit disappointing.
Oh well.
But it's good, it's interesting. It was an hour and a half for a couple of quid, and it's hard to argue with that. It was an interesting little experiment.
It sounds like it probably reuses quite a lot of the tech from the previous.
Yeah, it's the same engine, but instead of robots, it's people in environment suits.
It sounds like an interesting concept, yeah. Yeah, like I say, a small, self-contained, clever thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically you switch between the different characters as you play. So you start off as the tech guy, and then you play the alien for a bit, then you play a PhD student and an entomologist and a security guard and a admiral, and that's all the characters in the game.
Okay.
And so basically you end up having to find out what's going on and what to do next, and I don't know how well it branches as to what happens next. I suspect there's a couple of endings I need to see.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad, but for most of it, while there's choices about what you can say, and it has the same system that Subsurface had, which is you'll be chatting about something and then a keyword will come up and that'll just be highlighted up the next time you can ask questions, and you can start dropping them into the conversation.
Okay.
Which is an interesting way of just exploring through the conversations happen. You can end up in these odd loops where stuff's being repeated, which in the first game it didn't seem quite as weird because you were all robots, so it just felt like maybe the robot was just being a bit repeaty.
Yes. Yeah.
This with people, it feels like there's a
bit more uncanny valley to it.
Yeah, there's a couple of puzzles. Some about they call them kangaroo words, and one about rhyming, which seemed weird and a little bit out of place. And if you start getting those wrong, or when you're trying to convince someone to do something, you start getting those wrong and they're not obvious what you're meant to do, it loops the dialogue and you think, oh, hang on, this has suddenly just hit that cracks are appearing in the facade of it.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if they hadn't done those. Maybe they don't quite
Something
work.
to refine for future games.
Yeah.
Presumably there'll be more similar kind of shorts.
Well, they announced this 5 minutes before it came out. So
oh, here's a game I've made. Oh,
yeah.
oh okay. I quite like that idea, to be honest, instead of this like early access hell we live in these days.
Forget early access and all this hype, and there's a game coming out. There's a new Fallout coming out. What's it about? We don't know. But there's a new Fallout.
God.
I hope it's going to be exactly what I want, and it's not.
No one is going to get what they want. No,
it looks like it's a survival multiplayer game.
It's basically build your little fort and defend it
type
thing with Pit Boys, I guess.
Whereas some people want Fallout 5. It's not going to be that.
No. Fallout 76, I immediately thought it was going to be some Interstate 76 thing.
Yes,
so
that was my first.
A kind of Fallout Mad Max vehicle-based type adventure.
Yeah,
but no,
game.
it's not going to be that.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah. So it's an interesting way to release a game. It seems to do well to them. Also, they've increasingly mentioned that they're very happy that people aren't just refunding the game because you can complete it in an amount of time to get a refund.
That's so mean, isn't it? That's really sort of telling about the age we live in. It's that, if I can complete this in under 2 hours, I can refund it. Yeah, I'm the winner. Yes, you're the winner. That's right.
Yeah, they've had a dramatically low refund rate.
That's good. Yeah. You know, God, if you've played it and found nothing wrong with it, even though it's less than 2 hours, then for God's sake, let them keep the money.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed it at all, for a couple of quid,
honestly,
don't worry.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, it's really good. It's fun. It's interesting. It had a problem that I found a couple of games I've had recently, which is it notices my HOTAS stick and uses the throttle as one of the axes.
That's a conversational selector.
It was always scrolling the window up.
Oh dear.
Whoops. Yeah, and so I had to go for all of the stuff.
That sounds like a test case that no one thought of. Yeah. What happens if they've got a blinking driving controller in there or whatever? Yeah.
I don't know what happened if I also had the steering wheel attached. But it's just a couple of Unity games recently I've done that. So I think there must be an easy mistake to make, but not all games do it. So we'll see. I think there might be a shortcut people take. Just looping through all the inputs.
And it must by default turn it all on if it's
Remember, folks, there's a reason why games say press start at the start.
Yes, it's to determine what controller you're using. Yeah. So I'm playing a few other bits and pieces. I've got Starcrawlers, playing that again.
Oh yeah,
I got stuck on that, not because of anything about the game. It's more of a QA issue. There was a particular story mission at the end of which it played a little bit of an exposition-y cutscene, then immediately crashed desktop with a C# runtime type thing every single time. And I thought, well, that's the end of that then, isn't it? And so I went away. But then it came down with a massive patch, and the patch apparently they'd got a new version of Unity. And rebuilt it all, and that seems to have done it. It might have been a 64-bit upgrade of some sort, I don't know, but whatever. So I thought I would try that again, and straight through, and now I'm carrying on. I really enjoy Starcrawlers. It's a simple, fun little thing. It's a bunch of little dungeon maps. It's sort of a bit like Legends of Grimrock, sort of isometric, step between the squares and look around, then turn-based combat when you encounter things, and that's quite satisfying. Got some quirky characters and interesting powers and stuff, and a fun little backstory to it all. And very replayable as well. I mean, there's a main story that you can, determinedly push at and have quite difficult dungeons for. But there's also a whole bunch of just random stuff you can do working for a number of different in-game factions, which is great for a little sort of half-hour play or 15-minute play. So I've been playing a fair bit of that. Yeah. What else? Ultima 9 I'm still playing, but it's become a stubborn thing now. It's become
you're getting a tad bogged down.
Yes, I'm going to bloody complete this. I know what I'm doing. I know what to do. I know how to complete it. I finished it before, sort of, but problem is it's just crap.
Yeah.
In terms of QA and stuff, it crashes a lot.
Yeah.
Crashes desktop and has no autosave. It has the most ridiculously quirky interface for that kind of thing. Basically, there's no escape menu. You press J to open your journal and an actual book appears, and then you have to flick through the pages to find the load save screen pages. It's like, oh God. And then there's and to quit, you have to actually find a page in this journal as well. There's no actual push escape game menu because that wouldn't be very realistic, and it doesn't have any kind of auto-saving feature. So I'll put 2 or 3 hours legwork in for a whole bunch of quests, and then it'll just go on straight to desktop. I'm not doing that again. I'm going to go away and play something I enjoy.
This was a common problem with the game back at release.
Well, this is it. It's not even like necessarily a problem with whatever GOG have done to get it running. This is it was just really buggy back in the day. Yeah. So it's become I'm going to finish this damn thing, and I'm probably not enjoying it much. But that's the sort of thing I do to myself, really. So there we go. And that's about it, really. I've got about 35 desktop icons of games that I've stopped halfway through that I need to try and finish, and that kind of thing
only 30.
irritates me. It winds me up. Yeah, Metro 2033, remember we talked about that? Yeah, I just stopped. There's various Skyrims and Fallouts and things on that desktop, and they're never going away. There's, it's just... I just don't have the time. I'm feeling really worn out and oversubscribed at the moment, but, you know, that sort of stuff happens. But anyway, that's me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm probably out of stuff to talk about.
Okay.
You don't do spiel. Well, tell me what you learned this week.
I learned I don't care if your TV stops playing out TV shows.
Yeah, that's quite liberating. I've learned that Surprise Elvis Night is the worst Elvis night.
Oh, you went to Surprise Elvis Night?
I went to,
I saw mention of Surprise Elvis
Not
Night.
on purpose, no. I went to a calm, relaxing Indian meal with my father and my sister, where I thought we might, sit down, catch up, have a bit of a pleasant, quiet evening, and Viva Las Vegas! Oh, for God's sake!
I noticed a rather enthusiastic review of the evening.
Oh, it was awful. It was terrible. It was so loud as well. I mean, am I getting old? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm getting old.
You're old.
But also, this was of I couldn't hear straight when I came out at the end of the evening.
Yeah.
He had all the big, speakers on sticks down one end of this Indian restaurant, and then it just came out, and it was like a 3-hour set. And it turned out afterwards, when the bill came, that it was a ticketed event that I didn't realise. It made me quite cross. He was all right. He didn't look anything like Elvis. He had a faint resemblance to Burger King, Vegas Elvis, but. He sounded okay, but to be honest, he did a better job of the occasional Queen and Neil Diamond number he threw in for variety. But yeah, could have done without all that really. But I was just grinning, and I was being very British about it. Waiter, there's an Elvis Presley impersonator in my soup. You couldn't really. Excuse me, there's something. Does anyone else notice something wrong? No, everyone else was all up for it, so it was probably me.
Definitely.
I hate Elvis.
Yeah, he hated you too. It's one of the reasons he died.
Do your spiel.
You could go on to howtomurdertime.com where you can see all our previous shows, and also go on to YouTube where you can try subscribing, but odds are they're not going to give you any updates about it anyway. Don't bother hitting the bell because that doesn't do anything anymore. Don't bother liking because that hasn't done anything for a while. It's just the Wild West out there.
Just watch it or don't, and enjoy it or don't.
Yeah. YouTube don't want you watching YouTube. That's the main thing.
Can they still get it as a Libsyn MP3 type thing from
you can still
the
get
old-fashioned places?
You can still get the MP3 as a proper podcast on the website.
Visual.
And also, if you go to the website, they also post every single video of it too. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so go to the website.
Go to the website, yeah.
You can't trust YouTube.
No. So, and with that, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.